The night air hung heavy with anticipation as I mindlessly swiped through potential matches on Tinder. Faces blurred together in a sea of anonymity until I stumbled upon Jake, a guy who stood out with an enigmatic smile and piercing eyes. A simple swipe right, and our digital connection sparked a conversation that would lead me down a rabbit hole of terror. Jake's first message, seemingly innocuous, carried an undercurrent of mystery. He spoke in riddles, each word dripping with a darkness that sent shivers down my spine. "Ever wonder what lies beyond the screen?" he asked, his words hauntingly vague. Confused yet intrigued, I replied, "Beyond the screen? What do you mean?" A pause, and then his response arrived like a cryptic whisper. "There's a world beneath the surface, a place where shadows hold secrets and nightmares become reality. Would you dare to explore it?" My curiosity battled with a growing sense of unease. Was this some twisted pickup line or the introduction to a sinister game? Ignoring the warning bells, I played along, typing, "You've got my attention. What's this world you're talking about?" His response sent a chill through my veins. "It's not a place for the faint-hearted. But if you're brave enough, click the link I'll send you. It's a portal to the unknown, a glimpse into the darkness that lurks beneath." I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the phone screen, debating the consequences of clicking that link. As if sensing my apprehension, he added, "Don't worry, it's just a peek, a glimpse into a world you never knew existed." Against my better judgment, I agreed, "All right, send it." The link arrived, a string of characters that seemed to pulsate with an otherworldly energy, a digital portal to the unknown. I clicked, half expecting it to be some elaborate prank. The screen flickered, and a sense of foreboding settled over me as a countdown appeared, ominous numbers ticking away in silence. Minutes passed like hours, and when the countdown reached its end, the screen transformed. Distorted images, cryptic symbols, and an unsettling hum filled the virtual space. I had crossed a threshold, stepping into a realm that defied explanation. The screen flashed with a message from Jake, "Welcome to the other side." As I navigated through the eerie landscapes of this digital underworld, messages from Jake became increasingly unsettling. He spoke of forums where secrets were auctioned, of deals made in the shadows, and of a darkness that thrived in the hidden corners of the web. In the midst of this virtual nightmare, a dialogue box popped up, a message from an unknown user. "You shouldn't be here. Leave while you still can." I scoffed, typing back defiantly, "Who are you to tell me what to do?" The response was swift. "I'm someone who's been down this path. Trust me, it only leads to darkness." I dismissed the warning, my determination fueling my descent into the digital abyss. Yet, with every click, the virtual world around me seemed to echo with a malevolent energy, as if the web itself was alive and watching. Days turned into sleepless nights as I chased shadows through the dark web, unable to escape the clutches of this twisted game. The mysterious countdowns continued, each one a step closer to an unknown reckoning. In the midst of my digital odyssey, I received another message from Jake, his words now a chilling whisper. "You can't turn back now. You've become a part of it, a pawn in a game that transcends the virtual and the real." As the screen flickered with an ethereal glow, I realized that my journey had just begun, and the line between reality and deception had blurred beyond recognition. The sinister world Jake introduced me to was no longer just a haunting possibility. It was a nightmarish reality from which there might be no escape. After that ominous introduction in the digital realm, Jake's messages took on an even more cryptic nature. Each word felt like a puzzle piece, a fragment of a larger, more disturbing picture. The screen of my phone became a portal to a world I never knew existed, and I couldn't resist the lure of the unknown. Have you ever felt the shadows watching, even when you're alone? Jake's words appeared on my screen, his sentences draped in a sinister elegance that both fascinated and terrified me. I replied cautiously, "What are you talking about? Shadows watching." His response was swift. "There's a darkness that surrounds us, an unseen force that feeds on our fears. The more you see, the more it sees you." I scoffed at the idea of unseen forces, typing skeptically, "You sound like a character from a horror movie. Are you trying to freak me out?" But Jake's reply struck a nerve. "This is no movie. This is the reality we choose to ignore. There are things in the shadows, waiting for a crack in our defenses to slip through." As the conversation unfolded, I realized Jake's perspective was veering into a realm of paranoia and supernatural fear. Yet, His words resonated with a part of me that craved the thrill of the unknown. It was as if he held the key to a door I never knew existed, and the anticipation of what lay beyond grew insatiable. "I've seen things that defy explanation," he messaged. "Entities that linger at the edge of perception, just beyond the reach of our understanding. Once you've glimpsed them, there's no turning back." I couldn't shake off the feeling that the screen itself was a window into a reality stranger than any fiction. And as if the digital space between us wasn't enough, Jake's messages took an even more unsettling turn. "Ever hear the whispers in the static of silence?" he inquired, his words now accompanied by a sense of urgency. "They speak in a language older than time, and once you hear them, you'll never be alone again." A chill ran down my spine. The room, once a sanctuary of solitude, felt like it harbored unseen guests. I questioned, "What whispers are you talking about? This is getting too weird." "They're the echoes of forgotten truths," Jake replied, "whispers of entities that have always been here, watching, waiting. Open your ears to the silence and you'll understand." Doubt clawed at me, but an unsettling curiosity pushed me forward. "How do you even know all this?" I asked, my fingers dancing nervously over the keyboard. "I've ventured into the shadows, embraced the darkness," he typed. "It's a path few dare to tread, but once you do, the world reveals its true face." Despite the warning signs, the temptation to unravel the mysteries he spoke of consumed me. The digital landscape felt like a haunted mansion, each message from Jake unlocking another forbidden room. In the midst of our cryptic exchange, a new message popped up, this time not from Jake, but from the unknown user who had warned me earlier. "You're dancing on the edge of something you can't comprehend. Jake is leading you astray. Leave before it's too late." I hesitated, torn between the warnings and the allure of the unknown. "Who are you, and why should I listen to you?" I typed back defiantly. The response was stern. "I'm someone who's been where you are now. Jake isn't your guide. He's your tormentor. There are forces at play beyond your understanding." But consumed by the intoxicating mixture of fear and curiosity, I ignored the cautionary words. "I need to know more." I messaged back, my fate hanging in the balance as the virtual world around me grew darker and more foreboding. The cryptic conversations with Jake were pushing me further into a nightmarish journey, and I couldn't escape the feeling that I was being watched, not just by the shadows on the screen, but by something far more malevolent. The digital shadows cast by Jake's cryptic messages grew darker, yet my fascination with the unknown held me captive. One night, as the clock ticked toward the witching hour, Jake extended an invitation that would plunge me into a twisted reality beyond my imagination. His message arrived with an air of ominous ceremony. "You've shown courage in the face of the unknown. Are you ready to take the next step? To see what lies beyond the surface?" The proposition hung in the air, pregnant with mystery and danger. A seed of fear sprouted in my mind, but the allure of the forbidden beckoned me. I responded, my words carrying a mix of trepidation and curiosity. "What do you have in mind?" Jake's reply was swift. "I have a link, a portal to a world hidden from ordinary eyes. Click it and you'll glimpse the true nature of the darkness we only catch fleeting glimpses of." As I stared at the screen, contemplating the consequences, the room seemed to constrict around me. The air grew heavier, laden with an invisible weight. A voice in my head screamed to resist, but the insatiable desire to unravel the mysteries of this twisted game prevailed. "Send it," I typed, the words sealing my fate as I awaited the portal to the unknown. The link arrived in a blink, a sequence of characters that seemed to writhe with an otherworldly energy. With trembling hands, I hovered over the link, the cursor hesitating over the digital threshold. A deep breath, a moment of hesitation, and then I plunged into the abyss. The screen flickered, and a cold shiver ran down my spine as a countdown materialized. The numbers, ticking away in silence, felt like the slow drumming of a funeral march. Dread gnawed at me, but there was no turning back. The countdown reached its climax, and the screen transformed into a nightmarish tableau. Distorted images flashed before my eyes, and the hum of unseen forces resonated in my ears. I had crossed into a realm where the line between reality and digital nightmare blurred into a grotesque dance. Jake's message punctuated the disorienting display, "Welcome to the other side." As I navigated through the virtual wasteland, the digital landscape twisted and contorted. Unsettling images and eerie sounds assaulted my senses, each step taking me deeper into the dark underbelly of the web. A dialog box popped up, a message from an unknown entity within this virtual nightmare. "Turn back now," it warned, "or face the consequences." I scoffed at the digital apparition, typing defiantly, "Consequences? This is just some sick game, right?" The response was swift. "This is no game. It's a trap, a descent into a world where reality itself unravels." Undeterred, I pressed on, my journey through the digital abyss fueled by a toxic cocktail of fear and morbid curiosity. The virtual shadows seemed to move with a life of their own, whispering secrets that resonated with the ominous hum of the unseen. In the midst of this surreal landscape, Jake's messages guided me deeper into the labyrinth. "You're seeing only the surface," he typed. "There are secrets here that defy explanation, a darkness that hungers for those who dare to uncover the truth." The cryptic warnings and surreal visions intertwined, blurring the boundaries between my online existence and a nightmare made real. Dialogue boxes popped up like ghostly apparitions, messages from unknown entities warning me of the impending danger. "I see what happens to those who venture too far," one message read. "Escape while you can." But the intoxication of the unknown held me captive, drowning out the warnings as I stumbled deeper into the digital nightmare Jake had orchestrated. As the virtual world around me pulsated with an otherworldly energy, a message from Jake arrived, a digital specter haunting my screen. "You can't turn back now. The game has just begun." The countdowns, the warnings, and the twisted reality merged into a symphony of horror, leaving me entangled in a web of deceit where the line between reality and deception blurred into an inescapable nightmare. The digital labyrinth stretched before me, a twisted tapestry of deceit and malevolence. Jake's cryptic messages had led me to a place where reality itself seemed to unravel. As I navigated deeper into the dark underbelly of the web, the true nature of the sinister game he had initiated began to reveal itself. The virtual landscape pulsated with an unsettling energy, and every click seemed to echo through the unseen corridors of this digital nightmare. As I delved into forums filled with discussions of unspeakable horrors, I realized I was treading on ground tainted by the twisted desires of those who reveled in the shadows. The screen flickered with disturbing images and distorted sounds, creating a disorienting symphony that resonated with the unnerving reality I found myself in. Dialogue boxes appeared sporadically, messages from anonymous entities warning me to turn back. But the intoxicating allure of the unknown urged me forward, deeper into the abyss. A message from Jake materialized on the screen. "The web unravels for those who seek the truth. Embrace the darkness, for it will reveal what lies beneath." His words became my dubious guide through the surreal digital wasteland. Threads and forums revealed discussions about clandestine activities, illegal trades, and enigmatic artifacts. I was just a pawn in a dark web scheme that preyed on unsuspecting users, manipulating them into becoming unwitting participants in a nightmarish game. Desperation crept in as I stumbled upon an auction for something called the Veil of Shadows, an artifact rumored to bridge the gap between the digital and the supernatural. The bids climbed higher, and the realization struck me. I was entangled in a game where the boundaries between reality and deception were deliberately blurred. A dialog box popped up, a message from a faceless user warning me, "You're playing with forces beyond your comprehension. Leave now, or suffer the consequences." In defiance, I typed back, "What consequences? This is all just a sick joke, right?" The response was ominous. "The veil binds both worlds. Once lifted, the shadows will consume all who tread this forbidden path." Fear gnawed at me, but the morbid curiosity that had driven me this far drowned out the rational voice screaming for escape. The countdowns, the warnings, they became mere echoes as I descended deeper into the twisted reality that Jake had woven. Another message from him appeared. "You've entered a realm where truth and illusion dance. The web is a tapestry of deceit, and you're a puppet in a show orchestrated by forces beyond your understanding." As the digital nightmare unfolded, I discovered that the dark scheme Jake was involved in targeted unsuspecting users, manipulating them into unknowingly participating in illegal activities. My every move, every click, contributed to this sinister game. A message blinked on the screen, a warning from an unknown entity. "You're caught in a web of deceit. Your every action feeds the darkness. Break free before it's too late." I scoffed at the message, my fingers dancing defiantly over the keyboard. I don't believe in your dark prophecies. This is just a twisted game. But the unseen forces at play had other plans. A screen flickered, and a distorted face materialized, a digital specter leering at me. You can't escape the web. Embrace the darkness, for it has already embraced you. The unnerving encounters within this digital nightmare intensified. Whispers seemed to linger in the background, and shadows on the screen moved with a life of their own. Paranoia became my constant companion as I questioned the reality of each digital interaction. In the midst of this surreal journey, a message from Jake appeared, the words dripping with malevolence. The final act approaches. Brace yourself for the unveiling. The countdowns that had marked my journey reached a climax, and a sense of impending doom hung in the air. The web, a labyrinth of deceit and horror, tightened its grip on me, leaving me questioning the safety of online dating and the very fabric of reality itself. The digital shadows clung to me like an oppressive shroud as I navigated the twisted corridors of the web. Every pixel seemed to whisper secrets, and every virtual step echoed like a haunting refrain. The line between the real and the surreal blurred further, and my once ordinary life had morphed into a nightmarish odyssey. As I delved deeper into this digital abyss, the paranoia that clung to my every thought intensified. Shadows danced at the periphery of my vision, and the ambient hum of the unseen grew louder. The warning messages persisted, urging me to turn back, but the relentless pull of the unknown compelled me forward. A message from Jake flashed on the screen. The shadows are watching, and they hunger for those who dare to seek the truth. Embrace the fear, it's the only way to survive. His cryptic instructions echoed in my mind as I pressed on, each click resonating with an unsettling energy. The virtual spaces I explored seemed to stretch endlessly, a kaleidoscope of dark corners and malevolent entities lurking in the digital shadows. A dialogue box appeared, a message from an anonymous user, "You're being hunted." The shadows are not just digital, they bleed into reality. Turn away before they consume you. Doubt crept in, but the twisted allure of the unknown held me captive. I replied defiantly, "Hunted? This is just a game, right? I won't be scared off by your warnings." The response was chilling. "This is no game. You've entered a realm where reality and nightmare converge. The shadows you chase are not confined to the screen." With every revelation, the sense of isolation deepened. Friendships blurred into a web of distrust, and every digital interaction felt like a potential threat. A message from Jake brought a sinister revelation. The more you see, the more they see you. You're entwined in a dance with the shadows, and there's no escape. As I navigated through the virtual wasteland, a distorted figure materialized on the screen, a semblance of a face twisted in digital malformation. "You cannot escape the shadows," it hissed, the voice reverberating through the speakers. "You're marked, and the darkness will find you." Fear clutched at my chest, but the relentless pursuit of truth pushed me forward. I had become a pawn in a digital chess game, and the pieces moved with a malevolent intelligence of their own. Shadows seemed to linger beyond the glow of the screen, and the once familiar surroundings became a breeding ground for paranoia. In the midst of this descent, a message from an unknown entity appeared, a plea tinged with desperation. "Break free before it's too late. The shadows feed on fear, and you're their unwitting prey." I dismissed the plea with a scoff, typing back, "I'm not afraid. This is just a digital mind game. I control my destiny." But as the digital shadows deepened, so did the sense of impending doom. Jake's messages became more cryptic, his words like an ominous prophecy. "The shadows converge at the crossroads of reality and illusion," he typed. "You're reaching the point of no return." A countdown appeared, ticking away the seconds to an unknown climax. The digital whispers grew into an unsettling chorus, and the shadows on the screen seemed to stretch beyond the boundaries of the virtual world. Paranoia consumed me, and every digital artifact felt like a gateway to a realm where the shadows blurred into reality. A message from Jake, his words dripping with a malevolent glee, punctuated the growing dread. The shadows hunger for their final act. Brace yourself for the convergence. In the darkening corners of the digital realm, I chased shadows that seemed to have a life of their own. The boundaries between the real and the virtual blurred, and the ominous countdown reached its crescendo. As I stood at the precipice of an unknown revelation, I questioned whether I was the hunter or the hunted in this digital nightmare. The shadows, once confined to the screen, now encroached upon my reality, leaving me entangled in a game where the line between fear and survival had become indistinguishable. The web of deceit tightened around me as I navigated the sinister corridors of the dark web. Jake's messages, once laced with cryptic allure, now echoed with a malevolence that sent shivers down my spine. The shadows, both digital and real, converged in a dance of paranoia and dread. With every revelation, the twisted connections that bound me to this macabre game unraveled further. I discovered that Jake was not just a mysterious guide, but a puppeteer orchestrating a scheme that targeted unsuspecting users. I was no longer a mere participant, but a pawn in a digital chess game with consequences that bled into reality. As I delved deeper into the bowels of the dark web, forums revealed discussions about enigmatic artifacts and unspeakable horrors. Dialogue boxes popped up like spectral warnings, messages from anonymous users pleading with me to break free from the sinister game. But the intoxicating mix of fear and curiosity fueled my descent into the abyss. A message from Jake appeared on the screen, his words a venomous whisper, "You're entangled in a web of deceit, a game that transcends the digital and the real. Embrace the truth, for it will set you free." His sinister guidance led me to encrypted forums discussing the auctioning of dark secrets and malevolent entities. The more I uncovered, the more the web of twisted connections tightened around me. Dialogue boxes flickered with messages from those who had fallen victim to this nefarious game, their words a haunting chorus of warning. A desperate plea materialized on the screen: break the cycle before it consumes you. The connections you forge in this digital hell will haunt you in the real world. I dismissed the warning with a bitter laugh, typing back defiantly, "I'm not afraid. This is just a game, and I control the outcome." But the digital whispers persisted, each message a harbinger of the impending darkness. Jake's cryptic instructions led me to a virtual auction, where a malevolent artifact known as the Web of Souls was on display. Bids climbed higher, and the realization struck me. The connections forged in this digital hell were not just illusions, but tendrils that reach into the very fabric of my reality. A message from an anonymous user pleaded, "You're playing with forces beyond your understanding. The connections you make here will bind you in ways you can't fathom." Undeterred, I plunged deeper into the twisted auction, the Web of Souls a macabre centerpiece. The countdowns that had marked my journey now resonated with a foreboding rhythm, each tick a reminder of the inexorable march toward a sinister climax. A digital specter appeared on the screen, a distorted face leering at me. "The connections you forge here are threads in a tapestry of suffering. Embrace the darkness, for it has already embraced you." Fear clawed at me, but I pressed on, driven by a morbid curiosity that had become my relentless guide. As the digital connections tightened, the line between friend and foe blurred. Every message seemed like a potential threat, and the once familiar faces in my online world now bore the masks of uncertainty. A dialogue box flashed a cryptic warning: "The twisted connections you make here will echo in your reality. Sever them before it's too late." I scoffed at the message, my fingers dancing defiantly over the keyboard. I control my fate. These connections mean nothing. But the shadows on the screen seemed to converge with a newfound intensity. A message from Jake carried an air of finality. "The connections are forged, and the game nears its end. Brace yourself for the revelation." The countdown reached its climax, and the screen flickered with an ethereal glow. As I stood at the crossroads of reality and deception, the twisted connections tightened their grip. I questioned the safety of online dating and the boundaries between the digital and the horrifying unknown. The web, once a tapestry of intrigue, now ensnared me in a nightmarish reality where the threads of twisted connections threatened to strangle every semblance of normalcy. The countdowns had reached a relentless crescendo, marking each step deeper into the abyss of the dark web. The digital shadows clung to me like a malevolent presence, and every click seemed to resonate with an ominous energy. Jake's cryptic messages had become the guiding force in this nightmarish journey, leading me to the point of no return. As I navigated through the digital labyrinth, paranoia coiled around me like a suffocating shroud. The warnings from anonymous entities had become a desperate chorus, each message urging me to sever the digital ties that bound me. But the intoxicating allure of the unknown drowned out the pleas for escape. A message from Jake materialized on the screen, his words carrying the weight of impending doom. You've reached the crossroads, the point of no return. The game is about to reveal its final act. Brace yourself for the unveiling. The ominous anticipation hung in the air as I ventured deeper into a realm where reality itself seemed to unravel. The digital whispers had grown into a disconcerting symphony, and the shadows on the screen danced with an otherworldly elegance. A dialog box popped up, a message from an unknown user. The point of no return is a gateway to the abyss. Turn away now, or the darkness will consume you. I scoffed at the warning, my defiance reflected in my response. I've come this far. There's no turning back now. This is just a twisted game, and I control my fate. But the digital landscape seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, and the shadows whispered secrets that resonated with the impending revelation. The countdown reached its climax, and the screen flickered with an eerie glow. A distorted face materialized, a digital specter that seemed to leer at me. The point of no return is a doorway to truth and torment. Embrace it, for there is no escape. Fear clawed at me, but a morbid curiosity drove me forward. As the digital abyss unfolded before me, a message from Jake guided my steps. The final act awaits. You're about to see the web of deceit unravel. The screen transformed into a surreal tableau of distorted images and cryptic symbols. The countdowns, the warnings, and the shadows converged in a cacophony of dissonance. The point of no return had become a digital maelstrom, and I stood at its epicenter. A message from an anonymous user, a plea tinged with desperation, flashed before me. Break free before the illusion becomes your reality. The point of no return is where the nightmare truly begins. I hesitated, the weight of uncertainty pressing upon me. The digital realm had become a twisted mirror, reflecting the consequences of my choices. The countdowns had served as an ominous guide, and now, at the point of no return, the revelation awaited. A dialogue box appeared, this time from Jake, his words dripping with a chilling finality. The web of deceit has woven its last thread. Brace yourself for the truth. As the digital world morphed before my eyes, I felt a profound shift in the very fabric of reality. Shadows seemed to bleed into the physical realm, and the line between the virtual and the tangible blurred with an unsettling ease. A voice, a distorted whisper, emanated from the screen. You thought this was just a game, a digital illusion, but the point of no return is where the nightmare transcends the screen. I questioned my sanity as the digital landscape warped into a nightmarish tableau. The shadows, once confined to the virtual realm, stretched into the physical space around me. The countdowns had led me to this surreal juncture, and I stood on the precipice of a revelation that would shatter the fragile boundary between reality and deception. As the point of no return unfolded, I questioned the safety of online dating and the consequences of chasing shadows in the digital abyss. The revelation awaited, and the digital nightmare had become an inescapable reality. The threads of the web of deceit tightened, and I braced myself for the chilling truth that would inevitably consume me. The final act unfolded with an eerie inevitability, and I found myself standing on the precipice of the unknown. The point of no return had led me to a convergence of reality and nightmare, where the digital shadows I had been chasing seemed to bleed into the tangible world around me. Jake's cryptic messages had become a haunting symphony, each word echoing with a malevolence that clung to the air like a suffocating fog. The screen flickered with a spectral glow, revealing a distorted figure. It was Jake, or at least a grotesque rendition of him that sent shivers down my spine. His voice, distorted and ethereal, emanated from the speakers. You've walked the path of shadows, and now you stand at the crossroads of truth and torment. The final confrontation awaits. Dread settled in the pit of my stomach, but there was no turning back. The digital landscape had become an otherworldly stage for the concluding act, and I was a reluctant player in a macabre theater. A message materialized on the screen, this time from an unknown user. The final confrontation is where illusions unravel. Brace yourself for the revelation. It may be more horrifying than you can fathom. I typed back, my fingers trembling over the keyboard. What is this? What have I gotten myself into? The response was swift. You've become a puppet in a dark web scheme, entangled in a web of deceit that transcends the digital and the real. The final confrontation is the unveiling of the horrors you've unwittingly unleashed. A sense of helplessness washed over me as the shadows on the screen seemed to stretch into the room. The digital whispers grew into a dissonant chorus, and the countdowns that had marked my descent reached their ominous climax. Jake's distorted figure remained on the screen, a digital specter that seemed to mock my vulnerability. The final confrontation is where the consequences of your choices manifest. You're about to witness the true nature of the game. I took a deep breath, my eyes fixated on the screen as the digital nightmare unfolded. The room seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, and the air became charged with an unseen force. The line between the virtual and the tangible blurred as the revelation loomed. A dialog box popped up, a message from the unknown user who had warned me earlier. This is your last chance to turn away. The final confrontation may lead to a darkness from which there is no escape. I replied defiantly, I won't be controlled by this twisted game. Show me the truth. The response came with a solemn warning. Be prepared for what you may see. The final confrontation may shatter your perception of reality. As the seconds ticked away, the digital shadows seemed to coalesce into a nightmarish tableau. The room trembled with an otherworldly resonance, and the screen flickered with an intensity that mirrored the palpable dread in my heart. A voice, not from the speakers but from the air around me, whispered, "You thought you could navigate the shadows unscathed." The final confrontation is where the illusions crumble, revealing the consequences of your choices. The distorted figure of Jake on the screen contorted into grotesque shapes, mirroring the disquieting transformation of the room. The countdown reached its zenith, and the revelation struck like a bolt of lightning. Images flashed before me, scenes of dark web transactions, discussions of forbidden rituals, and glimpses of entities that defied description. The twisted connections I had forged in this digital nightmare intertwined with a tangible world, leaving me ensnared in a web of deceit that spanned dimensions. A dialogue box appeared, not from Jake but from the amalgamation of digital and supernatural forces. The final confrontation is where reality and nightmare converge. You're a pawn in a game that transcends the boundaries of existence. The room seemed to warp and twist, and I questioned my sanity as the horrors unfolded. The shadows on the screen slithered into the room, merging with the physical realm in an unholy marriage of the digital and the real. As the final confrontation reached its climax, Jake's distorted voice echoed. You wanted to see beyond the surface, to chase shadows into the unknown. Now face the consequences. The screen went dark, and I was left standing in the eerie aftermath. The room, once familiar, felt like a distorted reflection of reality. The final confrontation had unraveled the illusions, leaving me to grapple with the haunting truth that the line between the digital and the real had irreversibly blurred. The twisted game had played out, and I was left to question the safety of online dating and the very nature of the shadows that lingered at the edge of existence.